Welcome to Charts Today, US Open. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 24th of October, comes to you from London. And we're seeing markets perking up a little bit today, but it is still a mixed picture. And overall, October's been a very bloody month. We're seeing here the dollar is actually pushing higher again this morning, activating a new upside target. So we are seeing that strong dollar really starting to impact. That's leading to a 8-week low on the euro. We haven't seen this level since August. And against the Japanese yen, the dollar is actually pushing higher as well. And sterling is lower still at $1.29 with targets to 126.60, 128.10. So we are seeing that strong dollar really having an impact across the board. Sterling actually falling against most currencies, as is the euro. So dollar strength is dominating. Bitcoin up as 0.7%, so that's quite key. And if we look at the US markets, we see the S&P 500 index is down just under 2/3%, and the Nasdaq is down 0.6%. So again, that's quite key. Looking at the Dow's actually up. We've got quite strong numbers from Boeing, which is pushing Boeing higher, and we'll take a look at the individual stocks in a minute. The Russell 2000 is relatively flat at the opening, but still looking very bearish, and the futures have been leading the market down pretty well all day. Taking a look at the Nasdaq, we see the E-mini future also pushing lower. Cash markets in Europe, FTSE 100 is up 1%, UK mid-caps up 1.3%, and the DAX up 0.5%, and the CAC 40, which has been the stronger of most markets in Europe, actually up over 1%, but still looking pretty bearish. Asian markets were all pretty much up, except for Hong Kong, where we were down just 0.4%, and Australia was down 0.25%. Crude oil actually looking a bit stronger today. It was really heavily sold off yesterday, and WTI up 1.2%. So still bearish on the short-term charts, but putting in a bit of a recovery. Gold holding pretty strong at $1,230 despite this stronger dollar. So that just shows the flight to quality. And silver we're seeing also holding bullish as well. US 10-year yield sitting steady at 3.13%. That just puts us in a bearish frame of mind on the short-term chart here. And if we look to the markets, we see here most of the indices actually opening down. This data all coming from Yahoo Finance. So here we're just seeing the performers. If we start with the Dow 30, we see here just by ranking by the top performers, Boeing up 3.5% on those stronger than forecast numbers. So Boeing has done quite well there, and that's pushing the shares higher today, outperforming the Dow Jones Index by 20% this year. So Boeing actually looking strong. This is my relative chart here. Home Depot is up, is the second highest leader on the Dow board, but actually is underperforming the market as we see here on the relative, and we're seeing the sell-off occurring on the on-balance volume chart. So that's quite key. Nike also looking stronger, up 1%, but just breaking that trend, and the relative trend has got quite a clear break in it as well. So, and we've activated a new downside target, 23% lower on both the long and medium term charts. Remembering this is my weekly, my 1%, my daily, my 0.5%, and my daily with unbalanced volume, and my relative strength chart, again all coming from Yahoo Finance. Looking at the weaker stocks, United Technologies lower, Walt Disney also pushing lower, down 1.8%, and Travelers Company down 1.4%. And really long-term trends here all coming under pressure. So we are seeing that underperformance here, 8% under the Dow this year. Looking at the tech majors, we see today that Google is down nearly 1% and still very bearish on that medium-term chart. Amazon down 0.6%, And again, just looking bearish there on that, starting to show signs of a bearish trend. And again, the relative trend versus the market, this is showing Amazon versus the Dow Jones just starting to crack. So we are seeing quite a lot of underperformance creeping in. Apple actually outperforming the market, only down 1/3%, and still looking pretty strong to the upside, which is pretty key. Being the biggest stock in the market. Taking a look at Facebook, Facebook back into the low 150s, down at 0.75% today, and we are just seeing here this underperformance, more than 15% underperforming the Dow this year. That after that sharp fall, Facebook really hasn't recovered, and we're starting to enter bearish territory on that long-term chart as well. Taking a look at some of the other majors, Tesla was up quite strongly yesterday. They're off 1.4% today, giving up some of that gain, but a fair way now from that critical 250 mark. So Tesla looking a bit better than it has done. Taking a look at Netflix, down 0.75%, and turning medium-term bearish. Nvidia yesterday we highlighted just starting to crack its trend, the medium term relative also breaking down, and taking a look at Microsoft, one of the bellwethers, down 1.5%. So we're seeing quite significant performance there as well. Quickly in the S&P 500 index, just looking at the performers here, Varian Medical Systems up 10%. That's the best performer in the 500. Xerox Corporation up 4%. Looking at the other way around, we see here we've got DXC down 9%, AT&T down 6%. So we are seeing still some very big falls across the market. No way are we out of the woods yet, and we just need to keep an eye on these indices today. But for now, it's a pretty mixed picture, but mostly bearish. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.